Good afternoon, everybody. We'll call a meeting the order of the Governance Committee of the Mansfield Downtown Partnership for Monday, October 28th. Agenda item number 2, Kathleen, I'm assuming no public comments since we did not get any.
We did not receive any.
Great. Okay. In your packet are the minutes from our last meeting on April 22nd. When you have a second, I will take a motion and a second to approve.
I wasn't there, but can I make the motion to approve them?
Of course.
Okay,
So
so
moved.
moved.
And a second. Ron seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Fantastic. So easy.
Perfect.
Okay. So agenda item number 4 in your packet is a memo regarding the review of officers. So the bylaws outline officer positions of president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. The officers must be elected by the board of directors on an annual basis. What we're proposing for approval here today, that the governance committee would then recommend to the board, is for myself to continue as the president, Tony to continue as vice president, Sean Basington will slide to secretary, and Mario has agreed to accept a nomination as the treasurer. So if you all are comfortable with that, then we have to motion in a second, Kathleen, probably, right?
Yes, sorry.
So I'll take a motion to approve the slate for election of officers in a second. Okay, motion from Ron.
Second.
Second from Diana. All in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Fantastic. Okay. And then next is the appointment of the committees. So on the committees, the festival is unchanged. For finance and growth, we will be adding Mario, and we likely will be actually changing that, and Mario will probably become the chair of finance and growth. He's comfortable with that. I think we just want to make sure Tony's okay on that. And we also, it's a little bit of math that's what Kathleen and I were talking about, trying to figure out the executive committee, because there's the slots on the executive committee are set based on different titles and positions, and so we just want to make sure that we don't short ourselves on that. And then governance, the 4 of us will continue. I likely we'll add 1 or 2 others, but I just want to have a chance to talk to some folks about that. And as you're aware, we're operating a little short on some of the UConn positions on the board generally right now, just so that's I think a little bit of where we are on that numbers wise. So but the committees as proposed, if you don't have any questions, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. If you don't, then I'm happy to take a motion and a second to approve those recommendations.
So Kyle, we just would come back and change that if we need to the next time, is that, or?
Yeah, we could, if we,
Okay.
on the finance and growth, I think we can, do you want to just change that now, Kathleen?
Yeah, you can change that now.
Okay.
And then when I put it in for the board, they'll have the final. So we don't have to
Okay.
go back to this group.
Yep.
Because you haven't actually made the motion for any of this yet, so you can change any piece that you want.
Yeah, so I would just suggest that we change that one piece. And and Kathleen can edit that.
Great. Yeah, so I move that we accept the positions for the committees with the discussed change.
Perfect. Second,
One second.
second. All in favor? Any opposed? Perfect. Okay, Kathleen, do you want to go over the meeting dates?
Sure. So we have to submit our calendar of meetings for the year in January. This group does not have a scheduled meeting in December, and in anticipation of possibly not having one in November, I thought we could do the dates now. I went through the records of the history of meetings, and this group often has meetings canceled due to lack of actionable items. So I thought I'd suggest maybe just planning to have fewer meetings rather than having to have staff track it and do the process for each one. So that's what I've proposed in your memo here. And I based the timing of the meetings on the tasks that this group is assigned through the committee charter. So this would be like if you had any bylaws changes that you wanted to review, that could start in, that could start in January. That would be a good time to kind of talk about any potential new members for committees or the board. Then meet again in March to finalize any of those changes and set the date for the annual meeting, because there are time restrictions on bylaws changes when they have to go to the board and when they have to go to the membership. So to meet those, that would have to be done in March. And then some orientation of new members, and then evaluating committees and task force, setting the 2026 dates. These are all suggested items, and there could be more business that comes up. We can always schedule a special meeting to address that. The other option is what we have done in the past, which is set a monthly meeting, and so it's in your calendar, and then we just cancel it if there isn't any business to attend to. So it's really a matter of what this group would like to do. If it's, from a staff perspective, it is a little, we have a lot of committees and subcommittees, and keeping track of those has proved to be challenging when we're short-staffed. But if that's easier for the committee members to keep in their calendar, then we can do that. So it's really up to you guys.
Is it harder to cancel a meeting or to add one?
I find so what I've been finding, and maybe this is just a matter of being the only one right now that's really tracking that, is that it's hard to keep track of how many that we need to set the agenda for, decide if we're having the meeting, notice the meeting, and or cancel the meeting. It's not a big lift, I think, to set a special meeting. It's just that you have a little bit more restrictions on things, like you can only discuss the agenda items that are listed and things like that.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't.
go ahead.
I don't feel strongly one way or the other. I think. I mean, I'm as someone that's in most of the meetings, I'm a fan of less meetings. So yeah.
And I would agree with that, because I feel like when you look at the list of everything that's covered in those meetings, I feel like it's very doable. And I think the only times that our meetings have gone over where we couldn't, where we've had too much, was usually interviews or things like that, which are special things. So I don't think there's many people that would have a problem with less meetings in their life.
Yeah, as you said, that the one thing I didn't account for was the student rep positions. In theory, the two current student reps could continue because they're underclassmen. So it might not be needed for next year, but I guess if one of them chose not to continue, we could always schedule a special meeting to interview the candidates in that case.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I liked how it looked. The new setup with, I think it's 5 meetings.
Yes, this group has not had a December meeting scheduled ever. And I think every year since 2018, we've canceled, at least June with the annual meeting, you know.
Mhm.
And depending on the year, this year there was more cancellations, but I wasn't factoring that in because that's special circumstances. Okay, well, if, I think maybe we would just need a motion, and then at some point between now and January, I'll need to get Kyle to sign the schedule. But that's all that we would have to do at this point.
So I make a motion to to accept the schedule as presented. Do you need me to list the dates, or are you okay? Okay.
Second. Ron, and all in favor? Any opposed? Fantastic. Okay, great. I think we might have set a record. See, this is why less people on the committees is sometimes good. You know, no, yeah, I mean, I just will say for both of you while you're on the call, obviously, and we appreciate, Ron, I appreciate your flexibility relative to the board meeting this week, and I'll circle back with you guys on whether we want to add anybody else to governance. I think, you know, we probably should. Yeah, and if needed, we'll, if we need to make any, because we didn't on festival, we just sort of took for granted that folks would continue, and they didn't know any better. Thankfully, most of them were volunteers, and they're not board members. So hopefully they had a good experience. We can get a little feedback from Emily at the board meeting and take it that way. So perfect. Okay, great. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion and a second to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Fantastic. Well, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank
Have
you.
Great.
a good day. All right.
Thanks.
All right. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.